Hey, Chris Lipe here on how to sing without being boring. That's a huge complaint I get from students initially when I start to work with them, is that their voice is boring. They feel like they're hitting the notes, or at least trying to hit the notes, but expressiveness just isn't there, and they don't really know what to do to get there. In this video, we're going to take cues from two fantastically non-boring singers, Amy Winehouse and Whitney Houston, and we're going to study what they do with their voices specifically that makes them not boring, but really, really interesting and exciting. Hint, it's not fantastic range. It's not huge vocal chops, although both of these singers have those things. But that's not necessarily what makes their voice really interesting and engaging. It's part of it, but it's a much smaller part than you might think. So stick with me here as we go through some examples, and we're going to help you figure out how your voice can be vastly more interesting, not at all boring. Now, a lot of the things that we're going to be going through in this video require a basic understanding of how to use support, airflow, how to harness the right resonances, feel the right things with your voice. If you'd like more help with that, the best place to start with me is by joining my free vocal course, linked in the video description below. There's lots of ways we can work from there, but I'll help you get those basics down, those fundamentals, and then when you're applying the kinds of things that we're discussing in this video, you're going to be able to put them in your voice right away and make wonderful use of them. All right, let's listen to this passage from Rehab, Amy Winehouse.
Yes, I've been black, but when I come back, no.
Notice the rhythm. We're going to break it down more here in a minute.
I ain't got the time, and if my daddy thinks I'm fine, just try to make.
And then in that second passage, notice the dynamic ways that she changes her tone around. I'm going to play both examples again. First example, hone in on the rhythmic aspect. And then the second aspect, hone in on the tone, the way her tone changes throughout just that very brief phrase.
No. Yes, I've been black, but when I come back, no.
Rhythm.
I ain't got the time, and if my daddy thinks I'm fine, just try to make.
Yes, she's got a fantastic voice, and you might be saying, well, my voice just doesn't sound that way. It's not that interesting. Here's where this type of listening and this type of observation is going to free a lot of things in your voice that you didn't know were even there to free. We're going to approach this not from a singing perspective, but from a conversational perspective. Her voice is so interesting because there's all sorts of conversation going on in her singing. We miss this all the time when it comes to singing because we're focused on notes. We're focused on singing. We're not focused on being conversational. If we just read those lyrics, yes, I've been black, but when I come back, you'll know, no. I ain't got the time, and if my daddy thinks I'm fine. When you just read them, they sound like you're just speaking. Now, what if I speak them like she expresses when she sings? In other words, I'm not pressured to sing her notes. I'm just taking the ways that she uses rhythm, exaggerates the rhythm, and the way that she exaggerates her tonal changes. And when you do this, just like when I'm about to do it, it's going to feel and sound really, really weird. But if you're afraid of sounding weird, you're never going to have an interesting singing voice. You have to push past this. So follow me here. So we're going to not sing, but we're going to speak with the same level of expressiveness that she sings. I realize you could argue that this approach is full of holes in so many different ways, but it works. Because we're not pressuring ourselves to hit pitches. We're focusing on purely being expressive. Yes, I've been black. Yes, I've been black. like she does. Yes, I've been black. Yes, I've been black. But when I come back, you'll know. No. Notice she like lengthens her. No. Yes, I've been black. But when I come back, you'll know. No. You want to become this sort of cartoon version of yourself when you're doing this. Let's exaggerate it even more. Yes, I've been black, but when I come back, you'll know. No. I ain't. And then what she does, she throws certain notes for that second phrase back in her nose. I ain't got the time. My daddy thinks I'm fine. I ain't got the time. My daddy thinks I'm fine. I know this is ridiculous, but if we focus on this sort of expressive level first, we become a complete goof. Then we introduce the notes back in. Even though it's not exactly what she's doing, we have put expressiveness first, and then we bring the notes in. And this is a perfect example, really, because it's not challenging to sing or say. So we can focus purely on being tonally diverse in that second line and very rhythmically interesting in that first line. So, a couple more times. Then we'll look at an example from Whitney Houston. Yes, I've been black, but when I come back, you'll know. Yes, I've been black, but when I come back, you'll know. I ain't got the time, and my daddy thinks I'm fine. I ain't got the time, and if my daddy thinks I'm fine, I'm being real exaggerated with my nasality. Okay? Now I'm going to take that character, and instead of singing the song like I would sing it as if I'm just trying to get out the notes, I'm going to do what she does. She's just done it long enough, and she's made it a part of her singing character so that it seems natural and awesome to her. But she could just as easily plow through it and hit the notes. That's never what she does. Yes, I've been black, but when I come back, you'll know. Notice those exaggeratory things are there. I ain't got the time. And get the words right. I ain't got the time, and if my daddy thinks I'm fine, Notice what I did there. Even on fine. These are the things that make your voice interesting. Being exaggeratedly rhythmic, being exaggeratedly diverse, exaggeratedly even a word, when you are moving your tone around. I ain't got the time, and if my daddy thinks I'm fine. Okay, keep this stuff in mind. Let's go to Whitney. One of her most amazing live performances, even though her voice, from a health perspective, is struggling a little bit.
But I know I'll think of you every step of the way.
What if we were to forget about for a moment that her voice is just gorgeous and focus on the expressiveness of just that last word? We're going to do more with Whitney, but let's just listen to that last word one more time.
The way.
Okay, let's not sing it, but let's notice she starts in her chest resonance and then goes to her head resonance and she swells. The way, the way, the way. Notice my hand gestures are a little bit like what she's doing. My speech dynamics, while goofy, and are very similar to what she did. If you go through this kind of drill before you try to sing a word or a phrase in your songs or in a song you're covering, you will infuse the importance of diversity and expression well over, oh yeah, I can sing that note, those phrases, because you're not thinking the correct way. You must be thinking about these kind of speech level nuances first and then add the music to it. The way, witho't pressuring yourself to hit pitches. The way, the way. Where's the emotion? Where's the connectivity? Where's the speech level diversity, the expressiveness, the conversationalism? Then, once you've got this down and you've got your hands going, you understand how to push into a particular word and then abandon out of it, then add the pitch in. The way. It doesn't even have to be the same key as her. The way, the way. Now, what I did was not near as complicated as what she did. It wasn't nearly as good, but it's a lot more expressive than, oh yeah, let me learn this song with this karaoke track, and let me go, the way. That's not gonna cut it. That's why lots of karaoke or lots of cover songs or even lots of songs that we sing, they're all at one level. They're all at they're monotone singing as opposed to monotone speaking. Now let's listen to the beginning part again with this being conversational, speaking, addressing the audience, because that's what she's doing. She's having a conversation sort of with the audience. That's why her rhythm isn't perfect. That's why she's so floaty over the track, because it's about expression and engagement.
I'll think of you every step of the way.
And I'll think of you every step of the way. I'll think of you every step of. Even just getting in that mindset, I'll think of you every step of the way. I'll think of you every step of the way. I guarantee you, because I just went through the process, that the expressive levels in my voice did not come from trying to hit her notes. They came from being inspired by her phrasing and her conversational, presentational, giving nature that she creates with her voice. I realize that this is simple and slightly ridiculous in concept. It's a different way of thinking. It's a different way of approaching how you both listen to singers and how you look at your own voice in light of its own interest, its own expressiveness. We have to, if we're going to be interesting, engaging singers, think this way first. Engaging conversational, speech-level, dynamic engagement first, then notes. You are guaranteed not to be boring if you take this approach. I hope you enjoyed this lesson. We'll see you for more.